your program for the #1 bowl battle. This is the Sugar Bowl Classic. From the Louisiana Superdome, it's college football's 1978 National Championship and the 1979 Sugar Bowl, all wrapped up in one super encounter. It's undefeated Penn State, champions of the East, and the only unbeaten major college regular season competitor in 1978, matched against Alabama, the champions of the Southeastern Conference. From Mobile and Montgomery, from Pottstown and Pittsburgh, they came by the thousands. Over 76,000 were there. A late morning rain failing to dampen in any way the enthusiasm of a crowd destined to witness one of the greatest games in the 45-year history of the Sugar Bowl. Inside the massive Superdome, a galaxy of banners, pennants, and hand-painted bed sheets told the story. This was truly numero uno for college football supremacy. The Sugar Bowlers had made possible the ideal in matchmaking. For here was Penn State, winners of 11 consecutive regular season battles, and undisputed bearer of both AP and UPI ranking as 1978's best NCAA squad. And here, too, was Alabama, the perennial power of Southeastern football. Alabama with a 10-1 record and ranked second to the Nittany Lions in the national polls. An ideal encounter to be played under ideal conditions. Superlatives were in order, and the tenor of the stadium crowd echoed the total excitement of this New Year's afternoon in New Orleans. Electrifying, call it sheer delirium. It was that and more when the Crimson Tide took the field. Followed immediately by Penn State. And here was yet another historic moment in the brilliant careers of Coach Paul Bear Bryant and his crossfield contemporary from Penn State, Coach Joe Paterno. An extraordinary game in the hands of two extraordinary men. For 76,000 frenzied Superdome guests, and for millions of ABC television viewers and the Mutual Radio Network audience, the stage was set. The coin was flipped. Alabama called it correctly, and the game was about to get underway. Matt Farr, the hometown hero from State College, kicks off for the Lions. Into the hands of Birmingham sophomore Major Ogilvie. Turns right side to the Bama 20, and Pete Harris makes the game's first tackle. Jeff Rutledge quarterbacks the Tide. He pitches left to Tony Nathan for 4. Matt Millen brings him down. Playing a 3rd and 3, Rutledge hands off to Steve Whitman for 4 yards and a first down at the Tide 31. Bruce Clark leads a gang tackling Penn State line. Rutledge on a 3rd and 9 situation, fades to throw, finds Lou Eichner open for a gain of 7 as Lance Mell defends. Facing a 4th and 1 at their 39. Bama punts with Woody Humphrey booming one 48 yards. And a Tide roll sets it at the Penn State 13 as the Lions get ready for their first offensive series. All-American Chuck Fusina quarterbacks Penn State. He hands off to Mike Guman for 7 yards to the State 20. But the Lions are guilty of holding and penalized back to their 7. On a 2nd and 14 from the 9, Fusina gives to Matt Suhey, and the junior fullback picks up 7 before Murray Legg brings him down. On a 4th and 3 at the 16, Scott Fitzkee comes in to punt for State. It's a 40-yarder called for by Major Ogilvie at Alabama's 44, setting the Tide in excellent field position. Rutledge now on a 2nd and 12. Gets Bama going with this screen on the left side to Steve Whitman. The junior from Birmingham will get 11 yards before Lance Mell and Larry Cuban bring him down. Alabama picks up a first down now as Rutledge pitches right to Tony Nathan. Carl McCoy puts the hit on Tony after an 8-yard gain and an out-of-bounds fumble at Penn State's 39-yard line. Facing a 3rd and 3 at State's 33, Rutledge fades to pass to Whitman, but it's dropped as Guman moves in strongly. The Tide makes an effort to settle for 3 as the Bears sends in Alan McElroy for a field goal. The 43-yarder falls short and wide to the right. Penn State returns to the attack with Fusina now at the controls. The Heisman candidate gets great protection, plenty of time to find Bob Bassett for 18 yards and a first down at Alabama's 49. Rick Gilliland defends for the Tide. But 2 plays later, State's passing game backfires. Fusina's pass this time will be picked off by Murray Legg at the Alabama 34. Alabama in possession. Rutledge at quarterback sets the Tide now on a 2nd and 10. Hands off to Ogilvie for 9 yards. Rich Millard makes the stop. Bama continues to move on the ground with Whitman carrying off right tackle. He literally bounces off the line and with great second effort gains 14 yards to the State 43. Lance Mell leads a strong defensive charge by State on a key 2nd down play, stopping Ogilvie for a 4-yard loss. From the Penn State 43, Woody Humphrey again, punting for the Tide. The ball sails into the end zone. Both squads fail to move on their next possessions, and the quarter ended in a scoreless tie. A great Sugar Bowl match was well underway. Second quarter action now. Penn State unable to advance, sets to punt from its own 13. Scott Fitzkee hits a 39-yarder. It's fair caught by Ogilvie at Alabama's 48. The Penn State defense holds strong on this series. The Stedman Shealy comes in as the Alabama quarterback, pitching left to Ogilvie, but Millen and Mell make it a losing proposition. On the very next play, Shealy keeps, and he's dropped by Bruce Clark for a loss of 6. The punting of Woody Humphrey continues to bail Alabama out of some tight situations. This one travels high and long, all the way to the Penn State 12. And there's no place to go. This Sugar Bowl Classic continues as a defensive struggle. On a 3rd and 5 from his 17, Fusina wants to pass, but he loses 14 on this sacking from Wayne Hamilton. Scott Fitzkee is back in now. Ready to punt again, and again there's no room for a return on this one by Major Ogilvie as the Tide will set up Penn State 41. But once again Alabama in great field position. Playing a 2nd and 6 at State's 37, the Tide gets 4 from this Ogilvie carry. But a swarming defense led by Bruce Clark drops Billy Jackson for a 4-yard loss on 3rd and 2, and an Alabama opportunity fizzles. It's Woody Humphrey again for the Tide, punting this time sharply toward the end zone. Watch now as Rick Neal just misses, downing it at the 1-foot line. Penn State will breathe easier when it takes over at its own 20. Fusina returns to the controls for Penn State. He hands left to junior tailback Mike Guman for 5 yards. Byron Braggs brings him down. Coach Joe Paterno's running game looks particularly sharp on this 10-yard pickup by Matt Suhey right up the middle. And it's Braggs again on the tackle. Penn State appears headed for glory on this one as Fusina completes a 32-yard screen pass to Guman. But there's illegal motion in setting up the screen, and the play is called back. Trouble comes in twos for Penn State now. On this play, Fusina is sacked by Braggs and Boyd. He fumbles, but it's recovered at the State 14 by guard Jim Romano. The official signals one way, but changes his mind. It is Penn State's ball. And the punting duel continues as Fitzkee booms out another rainmaker. This one to Ogilvie at the Alabama 47-yard line. Rutledge, last year's most valuable Sugar Bowler, comes out passing for Alabama. This one for 16 yards to Bruce Bolton, and watch this great catch. Mike Gillinson defending at the line 37. It's passing time again for Alabama. This time, Rutledge tries and completes a screen left to Whitman. It's set up well, and it's good for 16 more yards and a first down at the Penn State 21. But Alabama's threat is cut short on this play, and it's one of the game's most exciting. Rutledge tries another pass, but senior linebacker Rich Millard intercepts at the 8-yard line. And Rich will return it 55 yards, all the way to the Alabama 37 behind 3 super blocks. Defense continues to dominate in both directions. Fusina on a 2nd and 10 goes for broke. He passes into the end zone, but it's broken up by Don McNeal. And again, Fusina feels the intense pressure of Alabama's cat-quick linemen on a 15-yard sacking by nose guard Byron Braggs. 1:11 now remains in the half, and the Alabama team begins to crank up. They're set at their own 23-yard line. Rutledge in control. Throws left on a screen to Tony Nathan for 5 yards. Rutledge calls Whitman's number next for 5 more and a first down. It's Rick Cuban on the tackle. With 33 seconds showing, Tony Nathan sets the Tide screaming on this 30-yard carry, aided by an excellent key block from split end Bruce Bolton. There's 21 seconds remaining now, and Rutledge pitches to Nathan on the right side for 7 more, setting up a 2nd and 3 at the Penn State 30. With 15 seconds on the clock, Rutledge now sets to pass and just does get it off to Bruce Bolton. Bolton makes a fantastic comeback to get to the ball just over the plane of the end zone, and Alabama is on the scoreboard. Look at that sensational offensive moment again. The pass to Bolton. The reception. And some Penn Staters might have their doubts, but the official rules possession by Bolton. Alan McElroy connects on the point after. And Alabama takes a 7-0 lead into the dressing room at halftime. In the finest traditions of the Sugar Bowl in college football, the standing room only Superdome crowd gets treated to a dazzling halftime show as both the Alabama and Penn State marching bands perform brilliantly. The Alabama $1 Million Band under the direction of Dr. James Ferguson, and Penn State's famous Big Blue Band under the baton of Dr. Ned C. Deal. We're underway in the 3rd quarter. Penn State in possession at their 20. Fusina passing on first down. But it's intercepted by Jim Bob Harris, and Alabama appears on its way again, picking up where they left off at the end of the first half. Rutledge now on a 2nd and 9. He laterals to Nathan. The 5-yard Penn State offsides penalty makes it 2nd and 4 at the line 27. On 3rd and 2, Whitman gets 4 at the right side before Guman brings him down. But the Pennsylvanians toughen. Rutledge loses 2 on this effort by Rich Millott, and then 2 more on the next play. The Bear sends in McElroy for a 40-yard field goal try. It gets the distance, but it's off to the right, and Penn State will take over at its own 23-yard line. Fusina now, anxious to get his Lions on the march, sets and passes deep down the left side. Intended for Fitzkee, but it's short, and Alan Crumbly breaks it up. Fusina this time stays below. He's pitching left to Booker Moore for 7 yards. Barry Krauss brings him down. It's back to the air game for Fusina. This time he finds Bob Bassett up the middle for 10 more and a first down. A solid defensive hit on the play by Crumbly. Fusina tries another over the middle, this time complete to Big Irv Pankey for 5. Rich Wingo defends for Alabama. Fusina calling pass again. But on this one, there's a super blitz by Randy Scott. He forces Chuck to throw off balance. The 9th play of the series, Fitzkee comes in to punt. It's a 31-yarder going out of bounds at the Alabama 29-yard line. But Penn State won't wait too long to get it back. Watch now as Rutledge on 3rd and 10 throws for Jim Clark. Pete Harris makes a great interception at the Alabama 48. It's the biggest defensive play of the afternoon for Penn State. Fusina sets the line attack in motion, sending Bob Torrey up the middle for 5 yards. 2 plays later, Fusina finds Guman wide open down the right sidelines. It's good for 25 big yards and a first down at the Alabama 19. Don McNeal makes the defensive stop. Fusina calls on Guman again. This time up the middle for 2 as Barry Krauss hauls him down. Fusina and Penn State are not to be denied. Now he finds Fitzkee in the end zone. Scott makes a superb catch just inside the end zone, and State is about to tie the game at 7-all. Watch now how close Fitzkee is in that end zone area. Just does make it in. He is. Matt Barr's point after is good, and the Sugar Bowl is a brand new national championship ball game. 7-7. Both teams continue to play sensational defense. Bama in control, but Rutledge is thrown for a 6-yard loss by Millen. Tony Nathan carries on the next play, but he can only get a yard as Joe Lally and Guman combine on the stopper. Woody Humphrey is in to punt from his own 19, and this 51-yarder to Eichner brings the Tide out of trouble. Alabama's defense shows its strength on the very next series. Here's Fusina getting sacked by a determined Murray Legg. Scott Fitzkee back to punt. Atmore, Alabama senior Lou Eichner gathers it in at his own 27. And in perhaps the best individual offensive effort of the day, returns it 50 yards, putting the Crimson Tide in absolutely great position at the Penn State 11-yard line, where Tom Bradley finally brings him down. Rutledge quarterbacking. Pitches right to Tony Nathan for 7 yards. Mel and Lally combine on the stop. And then on 3rd and 7, Rutledge goes to the opposite side, pitching left to Major Ogilvie for what would prove to be the game-winning score. Touchdown, Alabama. Here it is again. Rutledge to Ogilvie. And a great second effort. McElroy's point after is true, and Alabama has a 14-7 lead as the 3rd quarter comes to an end at the Sugar Bowl. Fourth quarter action. Fusina calls a reverse with Tom Donovan carrying. But Bama is waiting, and there's no gain. It's the next Penn State series, and Fusina hands to Matt Suhey for 6 yards up the middle. Don McNeal makes the stop. And now on 2nd and 4, Booker Moore picks up a first down with his 5-yard gainer. And here's 5 more for Booker going up the middle. Lyles and Legg bring him down. It's 3rd and 8 at their 44, and Fusina passes complete to Guman down the right side for 9 yards. Jim Bob Harris defends. Fusina passing again, this time complete right up the middle to Brad Scoville. It's a 19-yard advance, and it sets the Lions with a 1st and 10 at Alabama's 28-yard line. But 2 plays later, Alabama pulls the plug on this drive. Fusina passes into the end zone intended for Bob Bassett, but Don McNeal intercepts. Watch now on the replay. You'll see both McNeal and Jim Bob Harris battling for the interception. Penn State gets another opportunity. Rutledge on 3rd and 5 at his 25 rolls left and laterals to Nathan. But it's misplayed, and Joe Lally will make the recovery for Penn State at the Alabama 19-yard line. There's bedlam among Big Blue fans as Fusina hands off to Suhey. Suhey up the middle for 11 yards. Penn State is now 8 yards away from a tie. It's 2nd and goal from the 6. Fusina passes complete to Fitzkee, and only a great defensive effort by Don McNeal keeps Scott Fitzkee from scoring. It's 3rd and goal now at the 1. Suhey goes at the middle. No gain. Rich Wingo makes a great stop for Alabama. And now setting up 4th and goal from the 1-yard line. Perhaps the play of the game. Fusina at the controls. Hands up the middle to Guman. Alabama's Barry Krauss in a fantastic effort meets Guman head on. No gain again, and Alabama has held. Alabama battling desperately to get out of the deep hole. Ogilvie carries, but he's stopped by Jones and Clark. Woody Humphrey comes in to punt. He gets his worst effort of the day, an 11-yard shank out of bounds at the Alabama 20. Penn State appears to be back in business. But the officials call 12 men on the field against Penn State, and Alabama gets a reprieve. 8 plays later, Humphrey has to punt again, but this time from his own 35. And this time it sails 44 yards to the Lion 21. Guman takes it in. He laterals to Scott Hettinger. But Hettinger has run out of bounds at that point. Time is running short. Fusina goes to the air. He gets 16 yards on this right-sider to Fitzkee. Fusina passing again. This time over the middle to Guman for 5 yards. E.J. Jr. and Hamilton defend for Alabama. Fusina on a 2nd and 5 at his 37 passes for Donovan, but senior linebacker Barry Krauss knocks it down. Penn State hopes remain alive as Fusina finds Guman for 14 yards and a first down at the Alabama 43-yard line. With a minute remaining, Fusina tries to find Brad Scoville open in the end zone, but it falls incomplete. And then on a 4th and 8 at the Alabama 41, Fusina passes incomplete to Bassett as Murray Legg comes in to break it up. In the closing seconds, Penn State gets a final shot, but Fusina's pass is intercepted by Mike Clements at the Alabama 49. The sophomore defender from Center Point, Alabama, returns it 42 yards to the Penn State 9-yard line, with only Fusina there to prevent yet another Alabama score. With a delirious Alabama crowd surging onto the field, Tony Nathan gets the final call for Alabama, and the battle for national supremacy ends in the Tide's favor, 14-7. Alabama jubilation reigns on the floor of the Superdome as hundreds of fans mob coaches and players alike. The 45th annual Sugar Bowl is history. Trophy presentations are made by Bowl President Bob Fabacher to head coach Paul Bear Bryant and Sugar Bowl Executive Committee Chairman Sam Cornsweat Jr. to Barry Krauss. Krauss selected as the game's most valuable player. Several days later, Alabama would add to its glory the MacArthur Bowl, symbolic of football's National Collegiate Championship. It all happened here in the Louisiana Superdome, January 1st, 1979, at the Sugar Bowl.